I'm your host, Felipe Rose, and welcome to the Disco Chronicles and Beyond. This podcast is about the disco era, the music, the culture, and the impact it's had on the world today, and why disco is still so hot. After successfully touring the world for over 4 decades as one of the original co-founders and members of the world-famous Village People, selling over 100 million records, this disco king truly knows a thing or two about the disco era. So sit back and relax and enjoy my conversation with my guest today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the Disco Chronicles and Beyond. I'm your host, Felipe Rose. It gives me great pleasure today to speak about this gentleman, SohoJohnny, also known as John Pasquale, is a New York-based philanthropist from Soho, New York, who uses music as a means in bringing people together through charities and music events. This charismatic musical ambassador and a really cute guy, y'all, started out, believe it or not, in the business world of the trucking industry. So I want to know about that in the show. Johnny's a singer, an actor, and a producer. I was honored when he asked me to be a part of an event on September 11th, 2021, right after the pandemic, for the firefighters of the World Trade Center in a big club space in Midtown, New York. SohoJohnny launched 2 independent labels under the guidance of industry veteran John Velasco of Tribeca Records, featuring indie and Main Street pop and rock. Johnny's motto: helping artists in helping others. And his organization is www.letmehelpinc.org. Please welcome to the Disco Chronicles and Beyond, SohoJohnny and my new friend. Johnny?
I'm right here.
Good afternoon. There you go. Can you sit up? There you go. There, a little bit higher.
Okay.
Wow, you totally bring the camera down a little. Oh man, dude, you totally got dressed up, totally glammed out for me.
Dressed up for you any day.
Oh, dude, stop. You look good, man.
Let me see if I can do this thing, a jig. That's a little bit better.
You're all filtered out and fresh. What is this? You're filtered out. Are you using that are you using that TikTok filter? You got a little sun on your face.
Oh yeah, you know
Yeah,
what?
a little sun. Yeah, but I'm loving the hat. I'm loving the hat.
You know the sun's gonna keep moving.
Yeah, that's the thing about doing. When I was going into the
Yeah, this is the angle. Let me see if I
daylight savings time,
Yeah.
and I really wish they just would leave the time alone anyway.
I know. I'm trying to see.
Well, no, you're good now. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, it's gonna
Yeah,
move.
there we go.
So,
So welcome to the Disco Chronicles and Beyond. You are also about music, and so for my fans, around the world and listening on Spotify and Anchor FM, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your movie that you were in, which was what, a month ago?
we did the screening a month
Yeah.
in
Tribeca.
yeah, we did the screening. They did the New York screening. Yeah, maybe it's about almost a month ago, and we did the LA screening in I think the beginning of December. Yeah, it was a fun project. A lot of great people, and
So I hear you're quite the character. You brought in a little bit of laughter while it was supposed to be like sort of like a horror movie. What, The Beast?
it was the Beast Inside. They changed the name.
See, I know it. I know it.
Yeah.
I know it because I received your invitation a month earlier, but then I came down with the flu. So The Beast Within, I couldn't go. And of course, I get what is it called? Social media envy when I see all these people standing, on the stand and repeat, all looking good and smiling, and I'm like not there. So tell us about your involvement in the film.
Well, it's an Exorcist-based movie, and the plot is a little spin-off of the normal Exorcist theme in that it's a hereditary demon, okay, that goes from generation to generation. And the lead is Sadie Katz. She's great, and she's the protagonist. And she has a child, and it's her wrestling with it. Uh, uh, um, and Vernon Wells is the priest. We know him from Mad Max, and
Yes, I know.
it's
I
a great
saw that.
journey. If there's one thing that of the accolades or the comments about my part of the movie, I'm the comic relief.
Well, that's what I said. A couple of friends of mine, Evan Bruce and Fernando. I mean, they were there with some other guys, and they said that when you came out, they needed to laugh because it was a little like it was cutting edge scary for that type of a movie at the Angelica Theater, where a lot of times you see independent films, foreign films, and now here's a horror film. So what we're going to get into, I had the honor of meeting you. We actually did not meet. We met through first electronically through Eileen Shapiro, your publicist, 2 years ago. You believe that? It's 2 years ago? You
I
look
believe
good.
it.
You look good. You keep
COVID,
us.
COVID kind of like fast forwarded everything to us. When we think back, we think it's a different year because COVID was like kind of like a freeze frame.
It's true. It's true. And so because I met you while we were all Zooming and all talking and all that on over the internet, I feel like I had met you before because there was supposed to be some fire island situation of me going out there to perform, and we were just coming out of COVID, and we were sort of in the Omicron situation where we're in and we're locked up again,
Mhm.
or like you go to jail, play Monopoly, right? And so that we didn't get to meet that summer. And then like before the summer ended, like, and I think it could have been maybe late July, you sent me an email through Eileen that you wanted me to be part of the 9/11 firemen's benefit. Again, so your organization, which is let me help Inc.org, and it's a foundation. This thing, what you do is actually very interesting because you use these events for charity, and because as an artist, you really can't say no. And that's what I taught the village people when I was with them. And they were looking at me like, but why? I said, because we have to give back. People give us so much. We have to do it. And so I said immediately, yes.
Mhm.
And I had a ball, and I met Chris Ruggiero, Christopher Ruggiero. How do you say his last name?
Chris Ruggiero.
Wow, did he blow up this year or what? But he
He did.
started to last year, but he was a fresh face at your event. So he was a little new and a little green around the edges. And I said, oh no, you're fine. You're going to take off because he's got the looks. He's got the voice. And then also because he loves all that 50s, 60s music.
Mhm.
Like you do. And you're also a singer. Tell our listeners more about the Let Me Help Foundation and how that all works. How do you begin putting that together?
Well, I think I'll just take it. First of all, thank you for being part of the 9/11. That was for Operation Warrior Shield, where civil servants that are injured in duty and everything. And actually, one of the big things they do is, and they bring companion dogs to those, because a lot of times they went through a lot of trauma. So thank you so much for supporting us there, and we raised a lot of great money for good causes. But let me take a step back here for my journey. I'm originally brought up, Parkchester, when I was really a very young kid in Manhattan. And then my parents moved to the boogie down Bronx. And I was a nervous, stuttering kid. And I had great parents, but they would always be bunking heads. So I was kind of an only child until my brother came along. And I kind of channeled this. And I say this because when I lost my mom to COVID, I looked at all.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Thank you. And I looked at this treasure chest of all the pictures she would hoard of the family. And I realized I was a nervous kid, but I was performing even as a nervous kid with all these old pictures, and I would get in trouble in grammar school and be the practical joker. But, kind of fast forward to that, we moved to the Boogie Down Bronx, and eventually, we lived in Parkchester, which was one of the biggest apartment complexes at the time. And eventually then my parents got a house, and at this point in time, I was kind of like, pretty popular in the neighborhood, but kind of the Bronx in those days was, you had to like kind of like be in a gang to get home without getting beat up. And yes, I was also,
Yeah.
and I also somehow was like a
Trust me.
nerd in school.
Trust me, I know that because I'm from Brownsville, Brooklyn. So trust me.
Yeah. And eventually there was a garage in his house that my parents had bought. And for some reason I had the following, and I just was playing music, which was rock music at the time, which is not
Right.
classic rock. And people from all over the schools and everything, I got a name, and people would hit this garage, and I have strobe lights and all this stuff. And so that was like my mini foray. Fast forward for that, I've done some DJing when disco first came out, nothing really high end, for shows, parties.
Sure.
And when my dad died about 27 years ago from cancer, that was kind of catapulted me, because I would do family reunions and stuff like that.
Right,
Then I
right.
started bringing more talent in, and I started doing things for the American Cancer Society. Okay. And then I started chugging away with those type of shows, and I met a lot of beautiful people through charity. And then fast forward from that, many years of doing that, I got involved more with entertainment and a few music labels and SohoJohnny.com and everything. But then right before my mom died, I was always prepared. I learned that a foundation could do more than a charity. A charity is pigeonholed to one purpose, like just cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Foundation could be handled, could give to different charities or different causes. So it's kind of like a big brother to them.
Yeah.
So I started Let Me Help Inc. Foundation. And I was just starting it when my mom passed. The same energy that I got from my dad, and trying to, even though I'm grieving, I felt, let me do something good and put positive out there in their memory. And that's when I catapulted and I founded Let Me Help after my mom died. And when I say I founded it, I don't want to take credit for it, because it's the beautiful people around me, such as you supporting me in 9/11 and doing these shows, that makes it all
Well,
possible.
what's interesting, and when if people can go on your website at SohoJohnny.com, your gallery, you have all kinds of entertainers. For instance, to help kick it off, I believe if I could be wrong, and well, in your 2022 stream, I think it was this year, you had Tony and Paul Anka. They helped you with the stream show with 35 countries, artists from around the world. Now, how that sounds daunting. How is it all? How does it all come together? Because, like I said, we're all artists. So when someone like you approaches another artist or several artists to, please, would you like to be part of this event in helping others? Because your motto is, to spread music, joy, and illumination to the human soul and spirit while helping others. And that's your motto. So again, like I said, okay, I'll do it, because you don't want to feel bad. And if the village people were together with me today, I probably would have looked at them and said, no, we have to do it. So how does that, because there were a lot of acts there when I was there with Kathy Sledge. You had Leon, the actor. He was in the Madonna video and Like a Virgin. There was a Manny Koopa,
Manny Cabo,
Cabo.
Jonathan Butcher.
There were so amazing artists, so incredible artists, and literally from all types of music.
All types of music. Randy Edelman, of course.
Oh, and he's amazing. Oscar award of that one. So pulling it together, your team just reaches out, I guess, like they did with me.
We have our core people that are part of it, or that, that are like participating and are part of the foundation. But then we reach out to different other ambassadors, such as ourselves. And the latest one was the biggest one that you just mentioned. That was in December of 2022, maybe, I don't know, about 3, 4 months ago. And with all those countries, so we partnered up with Shares and Cares, a very big charity in India, and Chords to Cure. I could be getting them mixed up. And one was like children that are handicapped that get together and sing in bands, and Kids for Ukraine that are displaced families, things like that. And so we partner up with people in different countries. We had everyone, Yugoslavia. I mean, it was daunting even for me. And they have their own artists from their country. A lot of
Right, from
big
that,
names
so they
that
have their own, right, in those countries, they have artists that they will then go around and
Australia.
ask.
Yeah, that was a wonderful thing to be part of. It was, listen, it's up to us as to the prisms that we wear when we wake up every day, how we're going to view the world. A lot of people say, "Oh, this is terrible," or these things, and yeah, things happen as part of life. But if we have a certain
It's
sense of
life within life.
positivity,
It's life within life, and we have to, it's not. I have another little thing I always say. It's not how you fall; it's how you get up. One day is going to be a little tougher. Okay, so you want to be upset about it. I try to be in the present moment and try. And then my associate producer Estella, she's great. She'll like let me vent whatever fumes and all that, and then she goes, "Are you better now?" And we just keep it moving, because you can't throw away all the time that you're being upset and feeling bad about. That's all the time that you're not putting that energy and that joy out. And so that being said, the American Cancer Society, these are the organizations that you got involved with just this year. The American Cancer Society, anti-bullying, Broadway Heroes, prostate cancer, COVID-19 relief, and there's probably a few others I probably missed.
yeah, well, that's over the last couple of years. Yeah, we've done different things, and sometimes they're in person, and our next one's probably going to be in person, and we're planning something that's going to be in person and have a presence maybe in LA and UK and a few different spots there. It takes time. Listen, many of the audience may not know this. Some of them do. I know you certainly do. A lot of work goes into behind the
It's a
scenes,
lot of
right?
work, yeah.
A lot of work, a lot of organization. A lot of times when these artists are on tour, they're superstars in one sense, okay? You can't change the tour. So if you pull your back, or if you had had a fight with your significant other, you still got to put your A game on, because people
Of
expect,
course,
and
yes,
that's
yes.
the challenge of true talent. I mean, you're an Indian warrior, and you put light out for everybody, for so many people yourself. I mean, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
And it was so important during COVID. Social distancing did not mean social isolation.
I know,
Times that we
right?
had to pull for each other.
I actually threw myself out more over the internet, doing because people couldn't work. So people were all over Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and doing free poetry readings and reading novels and singing and doing shows and drag shows. So I'm like Venmo and do a Cash App and sending $10 here, $20 there. And so when my book my bookkeeper, she was looking at because we went into, I remember the day, March 19th, 2020, when we went right into lockdown. So she sees like the donations, like, the the increment of money going out. And she said, okay, you need to slow down. I know you love the world and you love it, but bring it down, slow it down. So I started baking. Okay, and I would make my infamous Kahlua brownie, and I would send them out as gift packages, little gift packages with oh no, like, well, when you eat this here, play this song, and I would write a song, Adonis Summers on this side.
Love it,
So I
love
was
it.
mailing out care packages and then making my Kahlua brownies, double fudge brownies there to some neighbors and what have you. So I really threw myself out there. So I was really aware of what was going on. And like yourself, when you reached out through Eileen, I said, yes, right away. Now what I want to know is, I mean, because when you sing and you do your shows are more 60s, 50s, correct? The music that you sing?
No, I think it's a little bit more contemporary than that. We haven't done like a full pure doo-wop.
Well, you've done like a Frank Sinatra kind of thing.
Yeah, a little bit, but most of it, I've done a fair amount of disco, which we
Okay,
spoke about
this is
briefly
where
when
we're
we did.
going. But this is
Yeah,
where we're going. We're going into this now.
yeah. I've done a fair amount because that's a personal, classic rock, classic disco. That's certainly my genre. And that's certainly a sweet spot within my heart. Okay.
Right.
And such a beautiful, magical time that we lived through and you were a proponent of and participated in very special times. I mean, I try not to compare, but it's impossible because as we get older in life, you always do like the contrast between the way things are now and the way things are. And you compare the music, and there's this great music today, don't get me wrong, but I think that with so many things in the way the world was then, maybe it was
Well, it was a
attitude.
simpler time, Johnny.
Yeah, simpler time. It wasn't that complicated, and people had more of a. If I had to say it in just a few words, I would say it was a little bit easier to let go for people just to chill out. And we had
Just to
some
chill
great
out.
music come out. The classic disco era was certainly one of the greatest eras of disco in history, in my opinion. If you lived through it and were able to experience it, it wasn't just
Exactly.
great writing, wasn't just great music. It was also kind of like a connection that it made. Music always is a companion with our lives, but I think it was just the way things were all together as a combination, and it was a beautiful time.
And on that note, we're going to take our first break. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't go away. We want to thank you for listening and tuning in. And we're going to take our first break. So please don't go away with my conversation and interview with SohoJohnny. Guys, I'm Felipe Rose, your host of the Disco Chronicles, and we're going to continue our conversation with SohoJohnny, really awesome, amazing music guy, but so into so many other things. Johnny, so we're back, and we're being heard on Spotify and Anchor FM and also Eagle Pro Radio and around the world. So let's talk about disco, because you did this huge disco concert. I was again envy and greening with envy, because there was everyone I knew, and that disco concert, was that 2 years ago?
Well,
A year.
there was two annual ones that were immediately, preceding COVID. One was 2018 in the summer, and in 2019. Okay, garden party. Then I think we used the word classic summer disco extravaganza.
Uh-huh.
Again, blessed. That was all for American Cancer Society, raising money for both of them. But we had so many beautiful people like yourself coming out and supporting. Now I'm going to probably mix up the 2 years because I get them mixed up myself. But
Well, we were locked in for 2 years, so though it doesn't really seem like it was. We sort of came out of it, but we kept flowing, even though they kept saying that the not to take you away from that what you were talking about. It's just that even when we came out of the pandemic, we still were acting as if we were. I still stayed in lockdown.
right.
So you did this huge disco show, and I looked at the lineup and I couldn't believe all the disco artists that you got.
Well, you know why? Because it was 2 full days. One day in the summer of 2018, one full day. We had an afternoon segment and had an evening segment. I mean, we had people from Fonda Ray, Corey Day, of course, Carol Douglas, Alicia, Star Hansen, Tavares, Double Exposure, Instant Funk, Planet Patrol, Jimmy Bohorn, and just Niobe. I had George McRae. I'm mixing the 2 years up.
Right.
Danny Terrio came, co-hosted, I think, the 2019 show, and Harold Melvin's Blue Notes. And, the list goes on. We had such a great time. Leroy Gomez, Santa Esmeralda.
I know them all. Every
I know
person,
you
every person you're mentioning, I know them all.
I know. And it was so wonderful. And it was so uplifting. I mean, the green room was a party in of itself.
Well, they always are, aren't they?
Okay?
You have to really be like, okay, guys, let's pay attention. We have things to do. Well, it's because of the camaraderie. Everyone gets together. The camaraderie is, you haven't seen each other in a while, so you want to catch up and you want to get that hug. And also, at our ages and in our stage in life and where we are, when people see me, they say, wow, it's good to see you. And I say, and I mean it, it's good to be seen
Mhm.
rather than 6 feet under, because that's what happens like in a green room. People just want to see each other and take pictures because we don't know. We don't know because tomorrow's not, you know,
Well,
promised.
you are the picture of Dorian Gray. You never age, and you are wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
And an
I had to put it
inspiration
up.
for a health and good, healthy lifestyle to stay
Thank,
young and stay healthy.
thank
Stay
you.
healthy.
I'll be honest with you. I had to put up on Facebook and write it that I was confused. This young guy working basically was confused that he thought that my father was in the Village People. And no, I'm the one in the village. He's like, no, there's no way. I said, yeah. So for that, that's a compliment I will cherish. It's in my pocket forever. So tell me,
We had,
okay,
I'm
what's
trying to
that?
remember who else we had. Monty Rock the Third came
Oh,
in.
Jesus.
Monty
That
Rock
famous song that he did, that disco song, and we're
had
talking
Dancing with Discotheques and the Sex. So that was kind of like the Advent, kind of towards the beginning.
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to say, because we're talking about the Hollywood, Les Jardins in New York City. We're talking about the Club Hollywood. You had, oh my God, the Round Table. And so he was really popular. Da, 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 da. And so I thought when I started recording solo and doing stuff, I said, maybe I should hit that song and do it. And these musicians, these friends of mine, they said, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Because there was, again, it had a nostalgic feel to it. When you hear it, discotheque and the sex selects, right? You would look up the song, it immediately, like any disco song, you play it, takes you right when you first heard it.
Exactly, the
No.
energy.
So I let that go. I said, I'm not gonna step on that. So you have to promise me that the next big disco thing you do is you're gonna ask me to pop in. So tell
Well,
me, I wanted to know and I wanted to find out from you. All right, so what are your disco favorites? And I believe you may have written it for me, and I'm gonna look it up because I was very impressed with the list. I'll read it out if I can find it. Okay. Um, let's see. Oh my God. Blue Notes, Travaris,
right,
Double Exposure.
right. Well, these
That's the lineup that you had, all of them, but all the songs, it's like you really know,
oh yeah,
you really lived,
I lived. It was
and danced it.
it's part of my DNA. Some of the favorite songs I used to love to dance to was Voyager. That was an import,
Voyage, yeah,
from East to West. Lady America, if you remember that. The
I
late
do.
Dan Hartman, who was great. And the Sister Sledge, not We Are Family, though that's a great song, but Lost in Music happens to be one of
A
my
beautiful, great song. Absolutely. It's a great, great song. Now tell me, did you go to Studio 54 and the clubs back then?
I never made it to Studio 54. I really, really regret it. At the time I was living in the Bronx and, we would go out to Long Island and we'd go to these places, but it was always such a big thing to wait on the lines and everything, and I regret not actually physically experiencing that.
Because there were so many of the guys and people that I'm interviewing that like they were so young, they were 17, 18 going to the clubs. Like, they were like, no, I'm going, I want to see this. So when you came to New York, what were the clubs that you then started to go to?
All the discos, many in Long Island. I remember
Well,
Al Magliano, our mutual friend. He
that's right, a mutual friend. Yeah, yeah.
used to DJ. I used to go like around 1979, 1980, probably at Chaz, which is a Long Island place. Of course, all the Long Island places, Uncle Sam, uh,
Okay.
the Camerons, Plaza Suite, all those. There was some in the Bronx. I don't remember all the names. I'd have to rack my brains out, and a lot of them, you know, Zachary's, although that was not there anymore, but was there for so many years. We would go out to Long Island a lot, and there was a few Bronx ones. I remember on East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx, in the Drogs Neck section, when disco first came out, this place used to be called the Rock Palace, and it's in Drogs Neck. Then when disco came out, they called it Strawberries, and they played
Yeah.
disco.
Because you had Strawberries, and then you also had the 10th floor with
Oh,
Sarah V's, Tom
And-
Severies.
And I also remember, I mean, let's be real here, back in those days, you didn't go right, the clubs closed, then you hit the after hours.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Like, I keep talking about the clubs, but then with the after hour clubs.
I
Right.
remember there was one I loved in Brooklyn called Desiree's. We had a great time there. It was just like another club, but just after hours. Although different times, but a lot of-
Right. And even though, we were young enough to stay out into the almost morning, the one thing about me that my friends would just go into shock just listening to this or watching. I always carried a pair of sunglasses, and I would put them inside my socks, my pants over them, so that when I left the club in the morning, sunglasses would go on, and I would never say goodbye. I would just leave.
Mhm, mhm.
And I know that several times, I would ask, "What time is it?" "Oh, it's 6 o'clock." That's it. I was gone. Because I mean, we were so young and we could stay out all night long, and we weren't tired. Now, like that 9 o'clock hour for me, it's really not good. There could be the greatest party going on, and I'm like, I'm feeling really comfortable, I think. But you're in Manhattan, though. Your production company is in Manhattan, because there is another show that you produce. There's two. There's the Brian, the show that I did, the cable show with Mickey Burns.
Oh, yes, I'm a producer for Profiles.
Profiles, yeah.
He's over 20 years. They were over 600 episodes. I was just with him. I'm going to see him again tomorrow.
Well, please say hello. Please say hello to him,
I
because
said we'll be with Air Supply tomorrow. And, he's Mickey's a mentor, and he's a close friend, and it's wonderful, his contribution. And he's a Pac-Man. He just keeps on going, and it's wonderful.
But he's a wonderful interviewer, and he's a very good, like, he's just so, you want to sit and you really want to talk to him. He actually sits back. He'll ask you one question and you just keep going. And so, yeah, I was really honored and I saw him down here last summer. He was at Moonstruck in Asbury Park. And I'm at the restaurant with a friend of mine, Abby and his wife. Abe and his wife, they were driving up and they were heading north. And they said, we're going to stop in Asbury Park, stay in a hotel. We want to take you out to dinner. I said, well, he asked me, where should we go? I said, let's go to Moonstruck. So we go, and there was Mickey and Edwina, his lady friend.
Mhm.
She's amazing.
She is wonderful.
How much luggage does she carry for a vacation? They just got back from Cartagena or something like that. And like her outfits they're massive and they're huge and handsome. She's a beautiful lady. And also she's out there giving back, and she speaks, and she she presents awards, and she's part of several organizations. So they make a very good couple.
They certainly do. She gives back, and she's a philanthropist, and she's helped a lot of people, and part of what her career and everything. And yeah, we were just all together, maybe a month and a half ago on the Violator show, and it was she went into everything that she's done. Even I was getting an education. Yeah, you're right. They make a dynamic duo, and a lot of positivity. They're very good friends and beautiful people.
So what's coming up next in your world? Like, already I just missed the movie premiere, and had friends attended right at the Angelica Theater. It's a beautiful theater. So what's going on? What's next?
Oh, Tribeca Records, which is something that's in our fold here, is several artists that we're coming out with now this year. Stay tuned. Tribeca Records. maybe Soho Records, or, depends on, societies. But
Right. After our BMI.
right. And we have a couple of shows that somewhere in the work that we're talking about, and we want to hit it right. We have um, gosh, there's so many different things here. Besides the record label, we have Let Me Help. We're planning something pretty huge. Oh, Soho at Night.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. Tell us about that. Someone
that's
mentioned
the
that to me, and I forget
yeah,
now who it was. Could have
that's
been Jed Ryan or one of the guys.
right. Soho at Night is a talk show of which I'm the host, and it's always hosted in the Soho location, one of the Soho lofts, which under my family's involved with, we own, or we do pop-ups there. PEPrealestate.com, and we use them from time to time to uh, film a show. And basically, I'm this talk show host, and I guess it's a blend between like you have this Playboy After Dark, or maybe Jimmy Kimmel, but there's always a lot of positivity and
Yeah,
party going on. And
sure.
any type of artist from any genre, just like you were alluding to before with some of the shows we had for Let Me Help, could be there. It could be a famous artist, portrait artist. It could be a singer. It could be it could be some type of influencer. It could be an NFT gallery artist. It could be any,
Sure.
and we make it very, very interesting. We had Tony Orlando was on it,
He was on last week. And
right?
he
Yeah,
just called me, I think 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago he called.
so beautiful.
We're old friends. What a beautiful guy, beautiful man,
He is.
and
He's
very funny.
very funny, but
We're
also
both multiracial. He's Puerto Rican and Greek, and I'm Puerto Rican and half American Indian. So he was telling a story in our last the Disco Chronicles. He started off by saying, that there were three of us in the business, myself, Freddie Prince, and you, that we go back as far as the days of Lincoln. I'm like, okay, that's that. All right, I'll go with that. Again, a really amazing guy, and we actually shared another thing in common. He was I had a star presentation up in Union City. We both lived in Union City, so when he was coming in for, to have the star unveil the star with his name on it, it was right next to mine. And the organization, they contacted me and they said, well, Tony's coming and he's really not coming with anyone. He's coming from wherever he lives, Nashville or whatever. Would you come up? And I said, of course I'll come up. So he just thought it was, I was there with him, and we enjoyed the day and the afternoon again, and just a great guy. So where can people reach you and your foundation? Please give us that information now before you leave me.
Thank you. SohoJohnny.com, SohoJohnny.com, John, JOHN, at SohoJohnny.com. Let Me Help Inc., Inc.org is the foundation. And you'll see on that Tribeca Records, Soho Records. We have a studio where we're launching called Soho Innovative Studios, and Soho at Night. And gosh, there's so many different things. I'm probably forgetting half of them, but again,
But you flow from one thing to another very well.
Right. I think, it's just, there's a lot of think tank around me and people come up. So I owe it all to them. I really do. I picture myself as the figurehead, like that little Mack truck symbol in front of this big truck.
Yes.
But all the horsepower, the people that I've been blessed to be help me behind me, especially with the charity work, people such as you, that because together we can make things possible. Just, and the simplest things, just smiling and starting your day that way, putting a smile on someone's face, that small ripple multiplies if so many people can.
I do try to do that. I do that almost every day. I guess it's a subliminal passage that I'll say something funny to someone, either serving me or I'm buying something, and I'll say something funny and they laugh. And so I feel like I made their day. Why not? Take them out of that, whatever they're doing. Just take a minute to Oh yeah, that was funny, move on. So the thing is, just so you know, I'm working on my one-man show and I have another single coming out in May. So Soho at night, I don't know how far you're booked, but that could be a very interesting conversation. You'll receive all that stuff and who, what, when, and where, and I'll let you know. It's going to be a very exciting summer.
Oh, yes,
Music,
this is, I agree with you. There's so many
music,
things
yeah.
because COVID's behind us
Oh
now
my God, thank you.
and the rubber band snapped in the other direction. I've never seen so much activity, because I'm kind of like a real estate guy, as I said,
Well,
peprealestate.com.
you're in the,
Everything
but
in
you were in the
Soho.
truck, but you were in the trucking industry, and I left that out.
Oh, yeah, that back in the day, sure. Well, that's 100 years with my family in Soho.
Yeah, yeah.
Living from my grandfather, who I never knew, and that's how I got the nickname because I used to be called. I mean, it was one of the better nicknames, SohoJohnny.
Well, so Johnny suits you, and it stands out, and people do know when I say it. I mention it. Oh yeah, yeah, I met him. He's a great guy. The other thing is that the summer looks like it's going to be, well, it's going to be exciting because there are so many things going on all at once. I've never been more busier in my life, and I haven't even. Well, I saw you at my last performance a month ago
Mhm.
at Windows on the Lake. And it was interesting to see you. I'm performing at Windows Lounge. This is like a big, huge catering hall, great crowd. I look over to my right, and there you are. I'm like, hey, he's so close to me. You weren't really like, I'm not gonna sit. I'm just gonna check this out. And you had like an elbow on the table, and you had your phone, and you were like, I look over, and the thing is, when I perform and when I sing, if I'm feeling hungry, I can, like a robot, go on about the singing and a couple of dances, a couple of moves. But if I'm thinking of a hamburger or French fries or something, I can do that at the same time when I perform. Sounds crazy, but or I actually caught myself one year, actually a full huge audience performing, and I was thinking to myself, God, I gotta pay that bill.
Well, you
So
know what? You
John,
mesmerized everybody that night, and it was beautiful. It's like when you perform, it's like poetry in motion.
oh Jesus, thank you so much, Johnny.
And you keep
Please.
listen, you keep the magic going. It's so many people. It's so important that we do and you do what you do. You're keeping a light on. Believe you're
I
keeping a
thank
light
you
on for
because
so
you know
many
what?
people.
Retirement doesn't really suit me. So like 2017, I'm like, I got restless, and I'm like, and just when I got jumped into the Ultimate Disco Cruise with Nicky Siano and January of 2020. It was February of 2020, and I got back well received. And I thought, so I'm gonna put my show together. And then I get home, and my friends were like, "No," and our associate producer still said, "No, you need to go buy masks, toilet paper, toilet tissue, paper towels, stock up, food, gloves. We got to get masks." I'm like, "Wait, what are we doing?" She said, "You're not going anywhere." And we went into lockdown. So I was like, you know, I was told, go sit in the corner because you're not gonna do anything. So now I'm now doing. I'm ready. I'm like, I'm excited about what's going on.
It's important that people come and ask, can you give me that they're starting, young people come, they're starting their career. And, I say, listen, you got to do the 9 to 5 thing now and put money on the table because let's be real. You don't want to be a starving artist, but keep to your passion. Remember to try to go through that door. You don't want
Yeah.
to be one of those people that didn't go through the door. No matter what happens, you get up and you go forward, no matter what you got to do. You don't want to look back and say, my life passed by, I didn't try this. Okay. There's so many different opportunities and availabilities. And if you put positive and out there, and people want to work with you, if you do good things and good things come back to you, because it's contagious.
Yes, and then bringing back full circle, bringing back Chris Restigio or
Rogerio.
Ruggiero, bringing going back to him again. I really dug what he was doing and how he was talking to other artists. And then when I met him, he asked me just questions about, the business and, how soon do you think it takes? And
Mhm.
basically, what does it take to get to A? And in our conversation, while it may have been brief, he was really he was really in the present. And then after that, I started seeing him everywhere. And that's how you make it. You get out there. If
And,
you've got that talent, get out there and let people see you.
and he's humble. He's
Oh,
humble.
yes,
He's
absolutely.
appreciative. He's respectful, and he's in good hands. He's got a good team with him. And yeah, of course, he's talented too. But if you
I'm
didn't
gonna have to
those
have him
things
on the
work
show.
together-
I'm gonna have to have him on the show for the next season because during the holidays he was with Darlene Love on The View. I looked at the television and said, "What, Chris? All right." And so they sang a Christmas song together, and that's tremendous company to keep.
Mhm.
You know, and then I kept flipping channels. It seems like they went from Good Morning New York to NBC to ABC. They were all over the place for 2-3 days.
Mhm.
Well, Johnny, I want to take the time to say again, thank you so much for doing the Disco Chronicles and Beyond, and for finally getting the interview done, because the last time, maybe 2.5 weeks, 2.5
Well,
weeks ago, we had a
I'm
little
with you
problem.
because I'm not a tech guy. You know, it's over my head. I leave it to the techies. You know, this is a new way of life, streaming and everything. That we just got to keep adapting with what's going on about us. But thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for having me on the show, and much love to you. My picture of Dorian Gray Adonis out there.
Oh, listen, but you look good too, dude. You look good too. I mean, at my show, you look like you had a long day. And the thought of you going back to New York, where you live, but you stayed over at Al's house.
60s and 70s. Well, I'm going back to the 60s and 70s. Oh, when I stood at, you mean just recently when I stood at?
Just recently, when you saw me, you were like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna have to go all the way back in." And then Al Magliano said, "No, stay at my house."
He's a good friend now. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Guy.
So again, listen, we're gonna stay in touch. I will see you soon.
Oh, well, I'll
again.
give a plug. I'll give a plug for that Al's coming up, that we're working together. Studio 122.
Yes, that.
that.
Can you briefly talk about that? I found that as the
Studio 122. It kind of ties into what you were just talking about. It's bringing a talented icon, legacy performer such as yourself that's still out there making magic, and then kind of like mentoring an up and coming artist on the show. And then you talk, and maybe you choose a legacy song and sing it together, that type of thing.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and Al is he's a host. He hosts a lot of disco shows for a lot of the promoters that we both know. And he's the host, and I make some guest appearances. And we've got that gestating too, coming out very soon.
Okay, great. And
a lot of it is all that disco era because Al was.
But it's shot entirely, I think, on film, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, on filming, because the stage is massive and it was all green screen that they were on. So I just recently saw that. So we will definitely talk about that. So again, Johnny, thank you so much. Say hello to everybody that I know, Eileen and everyone, and all the gang.
Much love to everybody out there. Put a smile on somebody's face. Thank you very much, Philippe, for having me.
Thank you, SohoJohnny, everyone. We want to thank SohoJohnny for being on the show today. I want to thank you all for listening, for watching on Spotify, for listening audio on Anchor FM, and our associate producer, Estela Nena, for making this episode happen. Because, again, technical people, we are not, Johnny and I. So I want to thank you again for listening, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Gotta keep on making me high. Gotta keep on making me high. Gotta keep on making me high. Gotta keep on making me high.
If you're feeling sad and blue, come on and dance with me. I can make your dreams come true. Come on and dance with me. control.